Ooh, an advert. That's a first. Hey guys, Craig here. Our Planet Marzipan merchandise is now available. It's here. Woohoo! Our t-shirts and our mugs are available to order as of now. We have pictures of the t-shirts and the mugs on our Facebook group. So if you want to check them out, that's the place to go. The price of the t-shirts is £15. The price of the mugs are £10. On the run up to Christmas, you can get a special deal of both of them together for £20 plus postage. If you email us at planetmarzipanpodcast@gmail.com, putting the subject matter merchandise, we'll be able to send you all the details onto the pod.
Hello,
Hello.
and welcome to Planet Marzipan, the Fish and Marillion podcast. I'm Meza, and here's my mate.
Craig Houston. Hey, let's get started.
Hang on.
Hang on, he says, hang on.
Let's
There you
say
go.
yes, say yes. That's it. Now,
I've said yes. Have I ever said no to you?
look, keep this off the pod.
Young man.
Hello, welcome to Planet Marzipan. We're here, and I'm Meza. I'm here with my good friend.
Craig, actually, no, since it's this Blu-ray, it's actually fair because that's who a certain person on this podcast addressed it to.
Ah, yes, indeed. We are here with some guests. As you can see from the title of the episode, we're here to talk about the remains of the weekend, but we welcome back Stephanie Bradley.
Hello.
Hello. Michael Barton.
Oh, I get me Sunday name. Good evening.
Just at the
Yes.
start, yeah, just at the start. And the
Best
legend
behaviour.
the legend that is Andrew Barnsley Wood.
Hello there. Hello, everybody.
Welcome back, folks. We haven't seen some of you for quite a while, so welcome back to the podcast. We're here to talk about this fantastic new Marillion release that appeared out of the blue. Not so much out of the blue for at least one person on the podcast, but it appeared out of the blue. There was no pre-sale, and it went on sale straight away. It is a Blu-ray, 2 DVD, and two CD live sets, which, as the title suggests, are the remainder of the Port Zealand weekend from 2023.
And to think it doesn't seem that long ago, but it's a year and a half ago. So
Yeah.
where's the time gone?
Well, I don't know the
So
answer
we're
to that.
fast approaching,
The next one.
the next one.
Yes, not
It's not
as fast as you're approaching it, but we're looking forward to it at the minute. You've got some work to do, yes.
I mean, as we
Yeah.
record this, it's only about 5 months away, so isn't it really? So, like,
Don't say that.
Like that.
It's when
4
someone
months
says,
away.
it's when someone says it's only this many days away. That's when I really get
Oh dear.
eek.
Well, let's cast our minds back to 2023. I mean, Stephanie's been telling us that she's been packing all these up, so I did want to talk about the artwork, but you are probably sick of seeing this already, aren't you?
I am sick of seeing it, yes. I've moved so many boxes of it around as well. So
But I think Mark Kennedy's done a great job on the cover. It's it complements the Out Before It's Dark live in Port Zealand, being a white sleeve, but with all the icons on it.
It's quite striking, isn't it?
It
Yeah, I
is,
love
yeah,
it.
it's good. It's good. Yeah.
I thought the humorous thing is when someone wanted to know why E.T. was on the cover.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, the "This Train Is My Life" logo is yeah.
I hadn't quite sussed that, but yeah.
I'm only ever going to be able to see it as that now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a good sleeve. I mean, the Blu-ray is effectively the whole Friday night gig and the remainder of the Sunday night gig. Any sort of memories of the Friday before we get into it track by track?
The only thing I can remember is the cameras keep like looking in our direction and me managing to maneuver myself slightly behind somebody so I wasn't going to be in shot as much.
Yeah,
The
John's
gen-
in it an awful lot again.
Yeah, he was.
no. The
As
gentleman with
ever.
the big red hat is right in front of Craig.
That's Chris and Alicia.
Oh, well, there you go.
They
Well
live in
done, Chris.
Manchester, but they're from Poland. Lovely people.
Right. Well done, Chris.
Yeah.
You've completely obscured Craig from the
Yeah.
blue.
Oh, it's on purpose.
I guess, and it's probably better to say it right at the beginning because we'll touch on it, having gone through and watched it, is seeing James,
Yeah,
Andy,
absolutely. Yeah.
And Norbert.
Yeah,
and
Norbert's in it as
yes,
well. Yeah.
I
They're
did think
both in it quite
he
about an
was,
equal amount of time.
yeah, and that I have to say, they brought a tear to my eye on more than one occasion.
Yeah,
But
this is
how
this
lovely that he's captured so
and
beautifully.
he's in the credits as well.
Credited.
It is.
He is in the credits. So this is James Greenwood, who's sadly missed that we're talking about, and he's credited at the end of the film as the head of the Front Row Club, which is really,
President of the Front Row Club.
really nice. But yeah, there are lots of crowd shots in the film. We did talk with Tim about it. I like the film because it captures a Marillion gig. There are faults in there. There are little things that only happened that night that wouldn't happen another night. And they've left them in. They haven't tried to sort of cosmetically smooth it over or anything like that.
Yeah, they haven't airbrushed out the boobs.
No.
I think for me, seeing the crowd is lovely because obviously a large part of my job is dealing with all those people.
Yeah.
And it's, as I said before, the thing I love about my job is looking out and seeing the sea of smiles because that's all I want to know is that everyone's having their best time possible. And, here I can actually see it.
Absolutely. You've done your bit and everybody's in smoothly and looking forward to the Friday night gig. And you're right, you can see that in the crowd. Everybody's up for it.
Jumping ahead, Stephanie, because you're in the very last song on the stage looking out
Yes.
with the "All We Could Love" signs.
Yeah.
That must have been quite. I mean, look, you're on stage, you're looking out, but to actually be on stage at that point, what was that like?
It's exhilarating and terrifying in equal measure. I can save the rest of it until we actually come to that track.
Yeah, let's go.
Quite a lot to say
Okay.
about making it all happen. So
What me and Hel said when we watched it, though, you're the first person we see when we arrive, and you were the last person on screen, almost the last person on screen, and it rounds that circle.
it does.
Barnes, were you going to say something?
Yeah, well, I didn't want to interrupt, but this was, as I'm sure about to say, the very first night of the very first convention after the lockdown. So I think there was a lot of excitement in the air. And despite what you're going to say about the first track, I thought it was
You don't know what I'm going to say about the first. Might surprise you.
Well, I thought it was almost, if not a perfect convention set list. And the reason I say that is it is not just a greatest hits thing. There's a lot of deep cuts in there. I don't think it would work at all on a tour. It would be, it wouldn't be a tour set at all. But it's exactly what I think a convention set list, particularly a 3-dayer, should sound like. Just complete every song, pretty much a surprise from start to finish, really. And I think it was a huge success, and possibly well, I was going to say the best of the 3 nights, but that's probably probably selling the other 2 nights short, really. No, I really enjoyed it. I can remember when I walked out. I know we've not discussed it yet, but I remember walking out thinking, "Well, I could happily go home now. I've seen more than enough in a good way, not more than enough in a bad way."
I think you've
I
probably
think,
seen more than enough on and off the stage by that point.
Well, yeah.
yeah, I think what happens was, yes, there was a big sense of, anticipation for the start of the weekend, since it was obviously the first time that would been together, since lockdown. But also the
Although
almost genius
Down at
factor.
PZ. We'd obviously had the conventions in
Yeah,
2022.
yeah. Where we all got COVID, yeah. But in the PZ thing, but also the genius factor of opening the site up a day earlier, so you could actually get to see everybody and chill out. So there wasn't the blind panic of the old school of starting on the Friday and everybody getting there exhausted, excited to see everybody, and you've got a gig the same night. It was always a lot of pressure for that. But with the days earlier, really does help you kind of glide into it.
yeah.
It does. It helps more when, of course, your luggage actually turns up. But
Yeah, and you're not having to borrow somebody else's smalls.
Oh dear. Oh dear, yes. Okay. Shall we get into the Friday night gig then?
I think
The,
so.
the film starts with the screen media for El Dorado. So the screen is very orange, and then it kind of fades into a live picture with it on the back screen. And I'll get this in before you all start having a go at me about El Dorado. It looks and sounds fantastic. It really does. I mean, if you've got an hour before it's dark in Port Zealand, you'll know what quality we're talking about. But this is more of the same. I mean, Tim and the team have done a fantastic job. It looks amazing. And Mike's done a great job in the mix as well. It's got a lovely surround mix to it as well. So there you go. I've said something nice about El Dorado.
I think that going back to what you just said there, Tim does an amazing job of making you feel like, they're actually in your living room when you're sitting there watching it.
Yeah.
It's you're not actually really in your living room. You're back in the tent, or in the tent if you were never there in the first place. And it's a real testament to his editing and the filming that his crew do.
And I
So,
think Mike's
yeah,
surround mix this time is the best he's done. It's a proper live surround mix. It's not just ambient in the back.
no,
Wraps around you. It's great. It's really good.
I think what's lovely is Pete's there. You can hear every note Pete plays right the way through,
Yeah,
which is
it's
glorious.
completely immersive.
Yeah.
it's very good. Barnes?
Yeah, well, I thought I put my what's the word? I put my filmmaking head on for once, and sort of analyze a little bit what Tim's done differently on this one, or Tim and his team, I should say, have done differently on this one and the previous one. If we're comparing them both as a pair, compared to different conventions and things. And I think what works particularly well is that, first of all, you can't see many camera guys walking around on stage. It's very rare you see anybody walking around on
Yeah,
stage.
yeah.
But also, what you will notice, and I'm sure this is perfectly planned, because why wouldn't it be, is a lot of the lensing it's sort of using zoom lens zoomed right in. So right from the back of the auditorium, it's right in on H's face, or a sort of, a mid shot and things like that. And from the side of the stage, and from below in the pit, and from wherever the other camera is, which I couldn't even work out where it is, they are not scared to zoom right in on the fingers of the guitar frets, or on the face, or right on someone's face, right close up. And it's very rare you see a wide shot at all, apart from the one at the very back that shows off
which is amazing. That's
yeah.
something that you don't see in any
Yeah.
other films.
Yeah.
But
This is the first.
Sorry, go on, John.
It's the first. Sorry to interrupt. It's the first year of that configuration of the tent.
Yeah.
And
In
Jens
proper
used
widescreen.
all the end
Used
of the tent,
canvas.
lit
Yeah,
up the entire end of the tent,
absolutely.
and it creates some amazing long shots for
Yeah.
Tim.
Yeah, and I think what he's done on that wide when he's gone wide to show off the whole tent, which essentially is showing off the lights on the stage, of
Yeah,
course,
yeah,
is it's used sparingly. You don't get a lot of it sort of, in previous ones we might have been traveling over the crowd's heads and things like that. There's none of that. It's like when you go wide, let's look at the stage and the lights and the whole set. And otherwise you're in tight nearly all the time. And then same when it's looking back at the crowd, you're in looking at 5 or 6 people rather than looking at a massive faces, random faces, if that makes sense. And of
yeah.
course, that's planned, and I think that's what makes it quite as strong as it is. That would be my critique for what it's worth.
Hey,
And we're not
no,
going to argue with you, Barnes.
you're the man in the biz. Yeah.
Such high praise. Such high praise.
What? Well, you are.
Anyway, let's get to the surround mix, yeah, John. Let's do what we do best.
No. All I've got to say about it is it's really good.
Yeah.
I'm not going through that track by track this time.
It is.
Listeners will be glad to know.
Yeah. No, I really like the start with El Dorado. I like that song. I mean, especially like the gold section and stuff like that. But yeah.
If I remember correctly as well, sorry to interrupt us again, I think I was sort of imagining the evening after or after the event. A lot of people liked that it started on El Dorado, and a lot of people found it people said it was a strange choice to start with. A lot of people said that. But a lot of people, well, if I was talking to you, John, I was talking to everyone apart from yourself, John.
No. I heard a real mix of
bad.
people that were happy and some that weren't.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's almost a 50% split going, well, that's a bit of a strange one. I thought that it started with a such and such, I think, and that's why I think it was a brave choice to start with, what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. No, Brave was on Sunday night, but yeah.
Hey.
Sorry. Anything else on El Dorado?
I think for me, it holds a special place. Really, the whole of Fear album does, because it takes me back to the US tour, and it was that and the New Kings night after night, and it gives me goosebumps really, just remembering all of that, because that was the first time it had been played and shown.
Yeah.
So
Well, Darren was on talking about the gig on the election night as well. So that seems to have been a very strange atmosphere afterwards.
it was a very surreal time, really. I shall never forget coming out of the Sony PlayStation into a very silent Times Square. It was, yeah, it was mind-blowing, really.
I'll bet.
And our thoughts and prayers go with our American listeners as we speak. Bless you.
Yes, indeed.
That's our
You've got a
political
tough time
correspondent,
coming.
Craig Houston. Yeah.
Yeah, dear.
Track 2. This Train Is My Life.
Love it.
Oh,
song.
but this is probably my favorite Marillion song.
Yeah.
So,
Is it?
mm.
Wow. Yeah, it's
Not because it's just about a train.
oh, okay.
No, it's really good. When we watched this last night, it was like, El Dorado finished. And as they went into it, just the hairs stood up and the goosebumps. And as Stephanie said, Tim's got this knack of taking you straight back in there. You were there. And if you weren't there, hopefully you felt you were there because of the way the film worked. It's just
Kind of skipped over it though, but there is a massive ovation at the end of El Dorado,
Yes.
isn't there? Because
the first song.
the first song, everybody's back in that place. And there's some really nice shots of H just absolutely beaming because of the reaction of the crowd. Yeah, it's really special. It's a really special film, but it starts off amazingly. The screen media for this train is brilliant as well.
It is.
And Vothers absolutely nails the solo on this as well.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Just a slight dip into the surround mix for Barnes's information.
Yeah.
Mark Kelly plays a Christmas tune during the Christmas lights section.
Yeah.
Right. Didn't pick up on that.
Yeah, you see.
And he only does that occasionally. He doesn't do that at every show.
Yeah. I did
When
pick
it's
up the
played.
train was in the back speakers though, John.
Did you? There
Yeah,
you
picked
go.
up on that.
You're very
It's
close
so,
to a
John,
train
it's
like
so
that.
light and delicate, isn't it? When Mark plays that run,
Yeah.
It's so delicate. You've really got to listen for it.
And Jens's lights as well. I mean, we'll talk about them all the way through, I've no doubt.
Yeah.
Into the party.
This was great, I thought.
Mm.
Yeah, good version.
I don't know if now's point or the time to mention, and H mentions it on stage, that they had a little bit of a foray into Holidays in Eden this evening. There was probably 4 tracks, was there? Maybe 5 from, certainly 4 tracks anyway from Holidays in Eden. This being the first one, I think.
There's 3.
3. I'm trying to count,
There's
but I've
3,
only
yeah.
got 3 bands.
Yeah, it's 3.
Maybe you experience a different track.
Oh, I've got the deluxe DVD here. There's an extra.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. That's the kazoo version of 100 Nights, is it?
Correct. Yeah, the Easter egg. Yeah. Surprised you've not found that. Anyway, sorry.
But the party's got one of the moments that I was talking about it being more like a gig, because H stops before and then it was yesterday, and actually just says, "What the fuck was that?" It's left in. It's left in. It's brilliant. But those are the things, when you go and see the band quite a few times, you end up talking about those things because they're the one-offs. They're the different,
Definitely.
things that happen in the gig, aren't they? But yeah, I mean, there's some we've already talked about James, but James is in the crowd shots in that track in particular. On to One Fine Day.
What a brilliant song.
What a brilliant song.
Oh my word. Again, I'd love to hear H doing this as spoken word, because the lyrics are so powerful. They are so powerful. And the guitar solo is just glorious.
And I think, if I'm not mistaken, Mike, that the rest of the weekends this fell away, didn't it? It only got played here, and I don't remember it getting played anywhere else after that. When it went to 2 nights, this was one that fell away, I think.
It fell away.
And I think it's a shame. It's a great track, a really great track.
Yeah, it doesn't get played enough.
No. There you go.
We're obviously going to get a remix of it very shortly. By the time you hear this, it'll probably be out. But yeah.
Right. Leave it as it is. It's perfect as far as I'm concerned.
It's got another one of those H moments in it, because he goes walkabout off to the right hand side of the stage.
Yeah. And we all take a gasp.
Yeah. Takes it.
Yeah. He's stayed up. No holes through the floor.
Yeah, he's walking about down the front of the stage and touching people, and then he stands on the barrier and sings a bit there as well. And he even creates a bit of feedback, and that's left in, which is really good.
Yeah.
I really like those touches. On then to Fantastic Place.
Which is, again, it's a brilliant song, and it was a good choice for them to trail the Blu-ray with it by sticking it as the first tune up onto YouTube.
Yeah.
It's a cracking version.
It is, and it's the first instance really of the PZ choir at the end, piping up, and that's always something really special.
Yeah. There is
In
a
my
lot.
notes, I wrote down, and it's sort of semi-trivia, but the very first note was sort of half pressed. Everybody cheered. Like, everybody knew what it was by listening to half of the first note. It was like, you know what I mean? And it's like really visible.
I'll name that tune.
I was going to say, what brilliant at the Marillion named that tune, aren't they? Where's Lionel Blair when you need him?
Yeah, it's a classic song, isn't it? A good version.
Yeah.
I love all the things that are captured as well. Like there was one point in that Fantastic Place where H, he nods to Ian, and it's captured all of that.
Yeah.
Nuances and interactions between the band.
I think that's what Barnes was saying, isn't it? It's about those close shots and those tight shots.
Yeah, I think so. It's just in there all the time. It's quite not claustrophobic, that's the wrong way to say it, but there's a lot of shots in close or in sort of medium, and it's just done really well. And then writing on the keys, on the keyboard.
Yeah. I think Rothers had a camera, didn't he, on the staging by him.
There's one in Guitar World, which on the Sunday night we were talking to Tim, because the setup with H playing on the Friday, with H playing the keys behind the main mic stand, causes a bit of a problem in getting a straight shot on H. So all the shots from the front are slightly off to the right. But then later on, they discovered this shot through Guitar World, which comes H right from the side.
Yeah.
And it's a really unusual shot. It's not a pure shot by any means.
No,
but
I quite
interesting.
like them shots though, where you get the roadies in and you get the the crew in at the sides, and you see them working while they're doing it. Not obvious. It's not like it's a documentary side of doing what they're doing, but it picks them up. Whereas I think in other shows they'll have been taken out because it's just on the band. I quite like that it was a whole.
They're much more present in the Sunday second half of Sunday.
Yes,
they
are,
will
yeah.
come on to, but yeah. But yeah, the next track, No One Can. Then the Sarah Ball visuals on the media screen, just the icons, brilliant. So simple, but such a brilliant idea.
And it's a song that doesn't get played that often nowadays, really.
Does he say? Does it introduce you as a song to get married to?
Yeah, he did
Just
introduce
exactly
it.
that,
It does, yeah.
I thought you said it's a toilet break, he said to me. Can you say that?
It's one of the rare songs that aren't about death and water.
And they followed it up with Dryland. So this is your Holidays in Eden section.
Yeah.
Again, a fantastic song, and H has been talking about it on his podcast, and how it's such a shame that between No One Can and even I think more for him being Dry Land that weren't hits.
Yeah,
still smarts with him. Like 32 years later, 33 years later.
And then H turns to Rothers and says, "Shall we play an old one, Steve?"
Mm.
And we get Warm Wet Circles and That Time of the Night.
Of which he owned both.
Yeah.
Again, it's a lovely moment as well where H goes and gives Pete a cuddle.
Yeah.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
Can I be controversial? Maybe not.
Go for it.
I don't want your target on me back, John.
You can have it. I don't want it. Yeah.
When you're there on the night, it's always amazing, right? So it's not that, but I think when I watch a DVD or a recording afterwards, I only 99% like when H covers old songs. That's what I'm trying to say, really. There's something about it just misses a little bit for me. And it's maybe nostalgia, something like that. It's just something, it just lacks it for me on the old songs. But
Thanks, Barnes. Thanks for that. You've taken one
on the back.
You can have it. You've got it now. That's far worse than anything. Far worse than anything I've ever said about Eldorado.
That's almost like John having a flak jacket on now.
It's worse.
Well, I just that's I always think, particularly on recordings, less so on the night when you're there on the evening. It's great, but I just think there's something about it that just, I guess it's nostalgia, just like the voice. It's a slightly different presentation of it. That's it.
Getting us back onto a positive though. At the end of this song is where Pete gets his Pete chant, doesn't he? And he looks highly embarrassed, doesn't he? He couldn't take
it many times.
Yeah. No, it's great. And then on to the Colossal Levers,
which is another one of my favourite all-time Marillion tracks. It's so, in fact, really, all three that night of my favourite tracks were played, so I was really treated. But the Levers.
Did you pick the set list, Stephanie?
No, I didn't. Someone was.
They should let you. They should let you.
I know the song on the album is not at the end, but we're so used to getting the Levers at the end of a set. It was nice it not being at the end of a set.
Well, it was at the end of the set.
Well, it was. I know they went off and done encore.
And they went off.
It wasn't the last song, with what I mean, with the confetti and all that.
Yeah.
It was, but it's just gorgeous when it's done. It builds and it builds and it builds.
And for me personally, because it's it's partly about the crew as well, and life on a tour bus and stuff. So it resonates, very much.
Yeah.
But it's just a great song, It's about that whole wonderful relationship that the band and the fans have, it's
and it's an uplifting end as well, isn't it?
It is totally. It really tells a story. So.
No, it's good. It's a great way to end the Friday main set.
Yeah.
And then the encores, we get 3 Minute Boy,
which is always a treat.
On this occasion, I'm going to say it was epic.
Yay!
Hang on. 35 minutes it's taking you to say the word epic.
On this occasion, it was absolutely, and I think one could argue this is as good as it gets, and I think the way the band played it, where H played it, I think they've nailed how to play to the convention. It was epic, really, really
That
good.
because you get to scream.
Well, I just like the whole thing of just literally building what's almost quite a small song into something that's just so preposterously long and brilliant.
Yeah.
So well. It's just worked so well, doesn't it? You know what I mean? I mean, on the album, it's almost a throwaway song, isn't it? In some ways. But
No,
why are you disagreeing with me? It clearly is. It clearly is.
it's
It's
not.
not 10.5 minutes on the album, Johnny. We all know that.
It was a fucking single. What do you mean?
Yeah, I'm having it. No, I'm having it.
But H does know how to milk it live, though.
Yeah,
doesn't
it does.
Yeah, but I mean, that is the way to play live. It was brilliant. What a brilliant rendition of it.
Yeah.
You know,
About 12 minutes into it's quite long on there. It's,
Yeah.
really long. There's all that.
There's a
that
point there where he
radio-
stands up, doesn't he? He stands up and takes a beer and then sits down and carries on again.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah.
And it was
I-
just like, wait for it. You know, you don't
Yeah.
peak too early now. Let's get there.
And there's all.
It's
Sorry.
the ultimate, audience participation song, isn't
Yeah.
it? So
but it's really grown over the years, hasn't it? You know, it's always had that Hey Jude ending of sorts.
Yeah.
But then on this version, they go back into a rocky bit at the end.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
really gets
Yeah.
rocky.
Yeah. It's
Also,
great.
I'm sure you come to it. There's a quite a long bit where H is encouraging people to sing it as quietly as humanly possible.
Yes, yeah.
Quieter still. And it's brilliant. It's just absolutely brilliant. The whole thing, you know. Despite being a throwaway track on the album, it's absolutely brilliant. Mark.
So what was throwaway is now epic.
Correct. That's
a
the
new
word I'm looking
t-shirt.
for. Remove the target from my back.
No, just got bigger. Throwaway, folks. Remember who said it? Throwaway. Andrew Throwaway Wood. And then the perennial favourite, TSE to finish.
number
He
3
got-
for me.
Just for
So
Stephanie, yes, yeah.
Can't fail with this one.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
gotta love TSE. You really do.
Did you mention Pete earlier, Mike? Pete's bass in this
Oh, you can
particularly,
hear him
Oh,
all
really
way
to the
through.
fore, isn't
Yeah.
it?
He's really in the
he
mix.
just
He's
starts
really
off, doesn't
prominent.
he? Just
Yeah.
And I think for Pete, he does get lost sometimes. I mean, he's such a phenomenal player, but his BVs are very clear. You can hear all of his BVs in all the tracks that he's doing. But he's just very prominent in it. And he's got a lot of camera action as well over the course of the film as well.
Yeah, there's a nice shot that gets used occasionally where it's kind of off to Pete's right and you
Yes.
get Pete and H in the same
Yeah.
shot, don't you? Yeah, good. It's good.
and
And then
there's a real look to camera just before the guitar solo, which is my favorite guitar solo. Hands down.
the blue pain solo.
No, the
The
main
second one,
solo,
the second solo on it, yeah.
Second one.
second solo.
Yeah.
Just looks to screen just before it, and it's just like,
And am I right in thinking that the 2 extra lines of lyrics are in there, Craig?
Yes, yes. Yeah, he did.
But yeah, it's a fantastic end to a brilliant gig. It really is.
Craig, the 2 extra lines of lyrics, being a quizmaster that you are were they ever in a release version, or were they just?
No, they were in the
Yes.
lyric book, and they only used it in
They're in with friends.
with friends in the
Yeah,
orchestra.
we're friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were in the original lyric book of Strange Engine, but they weren't on the song. But then they brought it
And then
back
they
for
came back
friends
with
from the
Friends.
orchestra.
Yeah.
Very good, very good. 2 points.
And
Go
it's
fuck me,
on
fiddles
the
on fire talk.
the Cardiff gig, BluRay. They're on there.
All right, there we go. Who knew? Not me.
Well, we did, but yeah. I asked him. You're part of the quiz presenting team now.
Yeah, right.
If it's AI, you're there. Yeah. I'd really like to talk about Sunday as well, if that's okay.
Yeah, definitely.
But
Um,
all in all, that Saturday gig, Friday gig.
Was it after what we just talked about? Yeah.
The Saturday gig was absolutely brilliant, but the Friday gig, they say, was a great night, a good start to the weekend.
Yeah.
It felt like, even though some long songs on, it just flew by. And say I've watched the I think I've watched it like 3 times now already, and I've only had it for like 2 weeks.
Yeah. And
Thoroughly
if,
enjoying it.
those of you who don't watch the Blu-rays, there's a cracking 2 CD audio version of that gig as well,
Yeah.
which I think is only about £11, if I'm not mistaken. It's a bargain. It's a bargain. But the Sunday night, if you bought the Blu-ray of An Hour Before It Starts live in PZ, you got the first half of the Sunday gig, and on the remains of the weekend, we get the second half of the set. Which the second half starts before we could talk about this. This is my favorite set of the weekend. Is Sunday. I think it's amazing. Pretty much like somebody said earlier, Barnes. I think it wouldn't hold together as a tour set list by any means, but this is a convention set list. This is rarities and rarely or never played in the case of one song, and this is what a convention is for me. The first track on part 2 is Fruit of the Wild Rose.
A very sexy song.
Yeah.
And it's as rare as camel shite in the Antarctic, isn't it? Never been played that very much at all.
Oh, Stephanie's not a fan.
No.
I can tell.
It's got a fantastic groove. It's got such a cool groove to it.
I think Rothers pulls out some amazing solos on this, which are nothing like the album.
All those things, but I don't know, for some reason it just doesn't. I don't know.
That's fine.
Doesn't make your rose blossom.
I don't think you get a target on your back for that. Barnes has still got that. You're okay, Stephanie.
Okay, phew.
And then the next track is the highlight of the entire Blu-ray for me.
Really?
I absolutely love this track.
It's a beautiful track.
I've never played it before.
No.
It
There's
sounds amazing, and Jens has lit it.
Yeah.
What absolutely beautifully. It's the best thing on this Blu-ray for me. It's just amazing. Older than me.
I think as well, it's the fact you can hear a pin drop.
You can.
Yeah.
Even though it's a song that hasn't been played and may not be a lot of people's favorites or even up there at all, so it could have very much suffered from people going, oh, they don't play this one and I don't play this one. But the atmosphere was electric, really, of everyone was just enthralled.
I love the close-ups of Mark on this, and Mark is not a heavy hitter on the keys. He so delicately plays the keys, and they really shine.
It's, as I say, I can't speak hard enough about this track. I know it divides people because it's on the hard shoulder, but Craig, you got any views on this?
I think it's a nice tune. I've always liked it. I'm not a hater of the hard shoulder. I do like the hard shoulder, and we will get around to reviewing it probably before we get into 2026, I think. But no, I think it needed an airing, and it was well done, well staged.
It was funny though, wasn't it? Because it'd been queued up that there was going to be a song that had never been sung before, and it wasn't one that was on the list of where we were going with.
Yeah.
But yes, I think Jens.
We all thought it was Chelsea Monday, didn't we, Mikey?
3 boats.
And after that, we get seldom played Afraid of Sunrise.
Yeah.
Afraid of Sunshine.
It was great.
Screen media, I thought it was great as well.
Screen media was fantastic.
Yeah.
And Mark's keyboards on it are fantastic as well. It's really a great version.
But the whole desert and everything, the backdrop stuff and everything was just it just fitted so perfectly.
Yeah.
Why do you think it doesn't get played very often? You think it's not such a long song, and it works well with Afraid of Sunrise, doesn't it? I mean, you think they work together as a pair in some ways, wouldn't you? It's very rarely gets played, as you say.
I mean, even back to the tour, it didn't really get a proper airing till the convention, didn't it? Back in it was like 2003.
Odd that it doesn't get played more. I was thinking. There you go.
Yeah, but before the next track, Niall comes onto stage.
Yeah, I was just about to say
God
that was
bless
so
show.
lovely.
Yeah. It's his final gig with the band. Has he been back since?
No.
Yeah, H proudly shows off his boy on his last gig with supporting the band. And then he tells quite a lengthy story about the lyrics for the next track and invites Rothers to play the riff of Map of the World.
Mm.
I've got a prediction. You want to hear it?
Oh, I know what your
Do you think-
prediction's
do you
going to
think
be
we might
before you
get
say
it
it.
twice.
Shall I not predict it? Shall I not predict? Is it too obvious?
No,
Predict
go
it.
for it, go on.
No, I'm just saying that if the cutting crew are supporting Marillion next year, there's a sporting chance we might hear it again.
Twice.
What? We might hear it twice again.
Well, Leicester and Berlin.
And Berlin, yeah.
There we go. There you go.
Good choice.
That's my prediction. I put 50 quid on it, so we'll see how we go.
Okay.
I think that's an easy bet, that Barnes.
Well, it is really.
There were a couple of moments in this that I loved. There's just one little bit where you see Lewis's face, and I love watching Lewis in the background because
Yeah.
you know it's his little movements, and it's just he's a joy to watch. He really, really is. But there was just one expression in his face that was just great. And then of course there was the wonderful lockdown video that
Yes. Yeah.
there.
It was with all the fans on the screen. It was great.
I'm on that one.
Exactly, all the little moments, yeah, with their flags and that
I
everyone
was right behind Lewis.
and it was lovely to see that because it takes you back to that time where, you know, again, all Marillion and their fans all come together to create something special.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And Lewis does seem, when any kind of shot him, he just seems to like he's having a whale of a time, isn't he? He's thoroughly enjoyed himself.
Totally.
Oh
It's a good uplifting song, though.
yeah, it's a song that I think they should play a lot more because
Yeah, absolutely.
it's something that will perk a setup.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the version on Anorak in the UK is possibly even better than the album version, but that's just me.
I'm not disagreeing with you. Another seldom played track recently, Pour My Love.
Great track, I think.
Really
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, really
One of
good.
the highlights of the night, I thought. Great track.
Again, it was another gentle interlude, you know, after the, you know, wonderful map of the world, all busy and everything. Again, silence and respect. As you say, a song that's not played very often.
I think doesn't H at the beginning of the gig in the first half talk about it being a kind of a cool down set.
Yeah.
I
I mean,
think
it's not a very proggy set either. The songs are a bit more not say like straightforward, but there are a lot more accessible songs in it, if that's the right word to use.
and then another seldom played track, A Voice from the Past.
Ah, see, I love this song.
Yeah.
And this is a song I can never play in the car because it always makes me cry. And having been, you know, in the car listening to it, sat at traffic lights with tears pouring down my face and not actually being able to see where I can drive, it has to be skipped when I'm driving. But I absolutely adore this track.
I think the John Lennon imagery and words behind it really, really bring you to life as well.
Just the emotion, it's a real getting you in the chest.
I've got a friend who she doesn't like Marillion, and she always says, "If only H sang with emotion and passion." And you think, what?
Well, I mean, I made a note. That's amazing that was in the set on the third gig on the bounce on a weekend, because that really tests his voice at the end.
It does.
A real strain on his voice. It's really good. It's a great performance from him. And then, as you guys were saying, there's a slight technical. So Ian gets a drum replaced. So we get an impromptu version of Bell in the Sea.
Yeah.
The Pete and H mix.
Yeah. But as Craig said, we were talking to Tim, they're still filming them replacing the drums. So that's really good. It gives you a real sort of sense of what was going on. I think, doesn't Ian appear on stage with a drum in his hand at one point?
Yeah, yes.
Well, he had the broken drum in his hand. You
Yeah.
could see that. You could see the slit through it.
Yeah.
As Marcus was trying to remove microphones and replace. Bless him. Can't be easy during a live show to be doing stuff like that.
No,
And
no.
Pressure's on.
and I have to say, big shout out to the crew, having seen them on tour many times, working under, a lot of pressure when things don't go quite right through no fault of their own, because things do break and things go awry. They're so quick, they're on it, and they're in there, very professional, and the issue is fixed as soon as it can be without any fuss, and
Yeah.
everything just carries
But the
on.
show didn't stop, did it? It just carried on.
No, that's it.
It was lovely.
Exactly.
It was a really nice version.
Well, they used to do it back in the day, didn't they, that
Yeah.
version? I'm sure was it the Zodiac we first heard
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
all those years ago. But it's great to see. Great to see. And another impromptu moment that's captured.
But I'd like to see them do a full band version of it again.
Okay.
That's on me.
Right.
Another thing on Craigie's bucket list. I just put the notes
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. Needs to be released.
So what you like to
Release the
see
release.
you'd like to see Brave with an orchestra
Yeah.
at Albert Hall
Yeah.
and then a Bell in the Sea for the encore.
Yeah,
Oh,
that'll
yeah.
be we'll be adding bits on as we go till
Yeah.
we'll get there in sometime in 2026.
Okay. And the final song of the set on the Sunday night was Somewhere Else.
What
A
a
great
great
version, but H did struggle a little bit with it.
Did he?
Yep.
Okay.
You think so?
Yeah, I think his voice was a bit hoarse in parts of it.
It's still a song that raises.
But it's a very brave song to be
Yeah.
the penultimate song at the end of a set, considering when you've got to get his falsettos and things and stuff and that up on it.
Yeah.
But I mean, I absolutely love that song. I really do.
Again, I think.
I love it too.
Yeah.
It holds a special place for Lucy and I, but that's maybe a story for another
It's
podcast.
definitely one of my favorites. I think again, credit to Jens, the way that on the long shots, just the way the staging was set and the lighting, and he used the roof as a canvas.
The shimmering gold.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
the shimmering gold woke up, yeah, all of that. It was just it tightened up, the camera tightened up on H's face and then came out again, and it was just glorious.
And
And
comparing the Sunday to the Friday night, the lighting on the Friday night was more focused around the stage. By
yes,
the Sunday,
it was
it was
opened
like
out.
the whole end of the
Yes.
tent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't know whether that was a conscious decision or not.
I think it would have been, John. I think the physical lights get moved further and further out
Yeah.
as the weekend went on. By the Sunday night, there was someone right in the corners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jens always says you shouldn't give everything quite early on.
Exactly.
It's a build, and then at the end it's the crescendo, isn't it?
Well, it certainly did that. It looks
Yeah.
amazing. It looks amazing. And then we alluded to this at the top of the podcast.
Well, for me,
Stephanie,
it was nice to see Somewhere Else, because I missed that on the night, because Lucy and I had to go back to gather the crowd together for the special ending to A Few Words from the Dead. So the only way it could be described is a little bit like herding sheep,
Oh, kittens.
because we've got these wonderful signs that say "or you could love" in lots of different languages, and so we had someone for every different language.
And which language did you have?
I had Klingon.
There you go.
And of course, Mark Kennedy had Gallifreyan, of course.
Yeah.
And we'd chosen people from each of the different countries that were attending, and we were trying to work out the best way of doing it. And I said the best way of doing it was having a number on the back of the card, because obviously we had to allocate the card to the right person so they got their right language. But bear in mind, this is all happening backstage in a very small area. So there was 45 people, I think, that were trying to make sure that they've got their right cards. We'd given them all written instructions. I'd written a great big noddy list of this is what you need to do. But of course, English isn't necessarily their first language, hence why they've got their own language card. We're giving them, Lucy and I had a group each, and we're saying, right, this is what you've got to do. You've got to come on stage. And of course, everyone's nervous as well. we were nervous, but they were certainly nervous. It's a massive thing to be going on stage, and so many things to think about. We've got to lead them on. We've got to make sure that they follow exactly, so that they don't tread on anything or trip over anything.
Pull any wires out.
Exactly. The potential for disaster is there. Don't want anyone to fall off the front of the stage, and then of course Lucy, forgive me for saying this, but we had said, right, got to be clear on this. You go on the second Or You Could Love. So we're up there, and suddenly I look across. She's gone on the first Or You Could Love. And I'm like, I'm sure she said the second. So there's like a second of panic of like, she's gone. Did I get it wrong? And blessed him, he's just shown it so that all the cards are up. So rather than us, doing it piecemeal, which really actually would have just looked like a Mexican wave, one side went and the other side went. But it was that was a funny moment.
But it was a great way to end the
Yeah,
week.
it was.
It was a wonderful thing to be part of. All the people that were up there were so excited. We're so thrilled to be able to, represent their countries. And, let's face it, it's the message that we really need
Yes,
these
absolutely.
times, or you could love
Yeah.
all around the world. But it was wonderful. It really was what was a,
No, it's a really good ending. It really was.
And there's a quote. I've got a quote from H towards the end of that song. He says, "No one knows how much time they have left. Better have fun while you can."
Yeah.
I think it's about time for us to put the target back on John's back now.
Why?
For years, what did you say about A Few Words for the Dead? 4 minutes of waffle and 3 minutes of song.
This I must hear. Go for it, John. Save yourself. I'm listening.
6 minutes of waffle and 2 minutes of song. Yeah.
There you go. I'll hand it back to you, John. Back on the basket.
Hey, we saw H play like a dance version of it in the Hubs in Sheffield.
Yeah,
that
Sheffield was brilliant.
Yeah,
that was different.
God, that was that was round about my 30th birthday-ish kind of time, wasn't it? So that's back in like 2000 and 2002. Jesus.
Can't love everything, can you?
No.
But I love that song. I think it's great.
I think it's worth it for the payoff. It's worth it for the payoff.
It is.
I mean, there's some great images, controversial images maybe, of H holding the machine gun up during that gig, which some people have misconstrued.
Some people took offence to, didn't they?
Yeah. Barnes?
Particularly in Montreal, they did.
Yeah. But I think you missed the point of it, isn't it? That's the whole point of it coming back with a flower in it. And
I was going to have a flower in the barrel, didn't it? So yeah. Sorry, Barnes.
Sorry, guys. I was just going to say, how would you get a machine gun through security? How does that? I was watching again to look at how the hell did they get that across there without, obviously you can't sneak it in, so you've got to I guess you get permissions and a license to carry it, because I can't think of any other way around.
No, you just nip it to Walmart when you're over.
The gun risers and everything, to be quite honest.
Wow, who knew?
I tell you what was a funny thing on that US tour was that I think it was it Denise Romano Bright had given the wooden version of it to use on stage. And of course we're sitting in a tour bus in New York on election night. That was
it could sort of backfire. That's where my brain's going. It's like walking around with a submachine gun.
Going back, wasn't it? Was it The Clock's Already Ticking where we all had them flowers when he sang at Wolverhampton? Didn't we all? Wave flowers. I'm sure we did.
So, yeah. Rings a bell. Long time ago, Mike.
Yeah, it doesn't get played a lot.
No, and I think it was as Steffi said, the perfect ending for that weekend.
Absolutely.
It sums it up. It sums the vibe up in the entire Centre Parks. If you've been, you know what I'm talking about, and if you've never been, you missed your chance. Last one's this year.
is.
coming up. So.
It's so hard to explain to people what it is if they've never been. And
Yeah.
and when you try to explain it, there aren't the words to get across what it actually is, you know, the atmosphere and everything that goes on and that whole thing of it really being like a family holiday, you know, but with family
Cold.
you choose to go on holiday with.
I was gonna say, it's like a family holiday, but good.
It's it's
Nikki.
it's just incredible, you know.
And
Yeah.
Stephanie, thank you for all you do for. We know you do an awful
Yeah,
lot.
yeah.
You don't get the recognition, so thank you very much
No,
for everything you do. And everyone else.
I feel so lucky to be able to do this job, and I do love it. It's great to be part of something so special and so unique. And you know, we have such a great team that works so hard to put all of it together. You know, everybody plays their part, making sure it all runs as it should do.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we all appreciate it, Stephanie. You know, everything you guys do. But these are great mementos of a fantastic weekend. They really are. There is, as we've said for the Friday night, there's a 2 CT set for the Sunday night, which features the tracks we've talked about, and the first half tracks, which are River, Bridge, Living with the Big Lie, Runaway, Hollow Man, Born to Run, White Paper, Sugar Mice, and Genie as well. Highly
I
recommend.
just need to do a bit of one person I did forget a shout out in all this is Steph, who comes along, Steph Farrow, who comes along to be my runner, my earring roadie, my boot roadie, my person who, when I need to be in about 10 different places at once, does that for me. And from the film point of view, she also ended up being cable monkey for the Saturday and the Sunday night, which meant she was sat on the floor,
In the pit.
literally feeding the cable through for the camera in the pit.
Wow.
And that, you know, absolute fair play to her for that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that seems like a good place to wrap up the episode, saying thank you.
Apart from one thing that you haven't mentioned yet,
Oh, go on then.
because you can't do your favorite slot yet for this, because
No,
because
can't.
your vinyl's not coming out till next year.
No, it's not. So we'll wait for that.
Which I'm relieved about because the thought of having to pack vinyl along with everything else that we're trying to pack and get out at the moment would just be one thing too many.
It's like enough already.
Barnes?
John, I was just going to mention, sort of, now you've closed everything down. I was just going to mention the artwork inside it. I think it's inside the booklet. Have you had a look in there?
What am I missing, Barnes? What
It's
am I
got a
missing?
bit. It's got a bit of a style of Banksy about it. There's
Oh, yeah, some nice stuff.
Yeah, it's really good. I think made a good job of it. It's a nice package.
All the work
Well,
a bit of care.
I'm sure Mark will like to know that we're admiring his package.
There we go.
That's much for the evening.
Law in the tone. There we go.
It's almost like you set that up, Barnes, there, isn't it? Yeah.
So I knock it out of the park and into the gutter.
Yeah. Any final thoughts?
Roll on the next one.
I've got a saying. When everyone says, "What's your favorite convention?" the answer is the next
The
one.
next one.
Hey.
It's going to be
Exactly.
going to be weird. It's going to be very weird because you know I spend a lot of time there in my head with this, but you know, this map of the whole park in my head while I'm planning it all and thinking about it all. And it will be weird to be there knowing that that's the last time I'm going to be doing that because it's been in my head since 2006.
Oh, I've got a Marillion quiz idea for that. You give Stephanie a map, you give her a number, and she tells you who's in the house.
I might
I
just
reckon you could.
do that.
If you're up for that, we'll do that. Yeah,
I think that's a good one.
well, we are planning planning to do
No,
Planet
threatening
Marzipan,
to do.
threatening to do Planet Marzipan live from Port Zealand. So you know, if you've got, I know it's a busy weekend for everybody, but if you've got time, you're more than welcome to join us for that as well.
Yeah,
Even if it's
Tim,
just to do that quiz.
You might have to have, you know, trainers on to keep up with me.
That's fine. Craig will run after you. It's okay.
yeah, we're talking to Tim, and he's quite on board for a Planet Marzipan live, so that'd be interesting.
But thank you very much for joining us this evening, folks. It's been great to talk about and reminisce about Port Zealand 2023. All that remains to be said is thank you to Stephanie Bradley.
My pleasure, totally.
Thank you, Mike Barton.
Always a pleasure, chaps. And Stephanie.
Thank you to the target man, Andrew Barnsley Wood.
Very good. Yeah, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Thanks for coming on, Barnes. Thanks to our co-host, Craig.
Cheers, missus.
And it's good night from me.
And it's good night from him.
Take care.
Stay alive.
Yay.
Thanks for listening to Planet Marzipan Podcast. Please like and subscribe from whichever platform you get your podcasts from. You can contact us at planetmarzipanpodcast@gmail.com and check out marillion.com, fishmusic.scot for all